What's up everybody, welcome back. This is Dimitri. Now guys, if you are the kind of person that wears Paco Rabanne 1 million, then this video is not for you. I'm not saying that because I hate that fragrance. I actually kind of wore it when I was 23 years old working at nightclubs, but nowadays I'm looking for something more sophisticated than what I was looking for when I was in my 20s. So if you actually want to know what one of the greatest masculine perfumes of all time is, then this is a video that will suit you, because we're going to be talking about New York Intense by the house of Nicolai Parfumeur. Now, this bad boy is up there along with Mouchoir pour Monsieur by Chanel, Anteus, and a few Guerlains such as Habit Rouge, basically battling for the contest of who's the best masculine ever created, hands down. And I think this one takes the cake. It's one of those perfumes that can easily be worn all year round by a sophisticated person or sophisticated man. Even though it's unisex, this is a complete masculine scent. This is one of those perfumes that will take you away and give you one of those experiences that not many scents can actually give you, because as you all know nowadays, there's a lot of restrictions, there's a lot of perfumes that have been reformulated, and a lot of them actually fall short when it comes to going to a heart and a base that has quality materials. Well, this is one of those rare exceptions that is beautiful from start to finish, and I will go through the whole life of the perfume with the explanation that will follow. First of all, I want to tell you that this is basically a recreation of a perfume that was created in 1989, and it was called New York, but because of IFRA regulations, well, basically the juice kind of lost its magic. So Patricia de Nicolai, who is the nose behind this beauty, had to come up with ways to recreating that effect that was lost because of reformulations, and she totally accomplished the mission in 2014 when she came up with this, rated 5 stars by Luca Turin, hands down one of the greatest scents ever made for a man, and it is one of those dreamy experiences that actually makes me want to reach it more often than a lot of my other bottles. So what can you expect from this? At the top, you will basically get a very powdery, herbaceous, citrusy, kind of tart blast that will right away catch your attention and give you the impression that you're gonna go into a very high quality ride. Now, don't be put off, guys, by the fact that this has a very powdery opening, because the powderiness is not given by the iris, which is typically the material that actually creates a very lipsticky effect, powdery and typical of women's perfume. Now, this perfume has pretty much no florals. The only 2 flowers you will find are at the heart, and they are the lavender, which is a masculine flower, and the chamomile, which is the complete opposite of a sweet and narcotic flower. It's actually a very calming and wonderful flower that we're gonna get talking about soon. So as I said, the top is very herbaceous because of that thyme and artemisia, and very lemony and live, while being tart and very masculine, okay? And the masculinity is given by one of the base notes that also is a very important part of the perfume, which is the oak moss. It's a very prevalent note that, along with the powderiness from the cinnamon, will actually accompany you for the whole duration of the life of this perfume. And as I said, the powderiness is actually given by the cinnamon in the heart. The cinnamon typically has a very spicy and peculiar kind of very strong aroma, which is not present in this case. It also has very powdery nuances, which is what gives it the powderiness. Now, as you proceed to the heart, as I said before, you will get a very bright and wonderful lavender that has some sort of a calming effect because it's compounded with that chamomile, which is a flower that here in Italy we use as a tea to make us go to sleep. Other notes at the heart would be pepper, if I'm not mistaken, but it's not that pungent black pepper that can be off-putting. It's all the way on the background, and the main players are basically that wonderful bright and calming lavender with the chamomile, and that's about it. Then when you proceed to the base of the perfume, you will mostly get very rich, opulent, deep and masculine notes such as musk, castoreum, civet, incense, a little bit of vanilla, which is a pretty important part, and obviously the oak moss, which is the main player, along with that powdery cinnamon and that citrus. And guys, it is a wonderful, wonderful blend. Sorry about that, the intercom just went crazy. Anyways, as I was saying, you basically have these very heavy notes at the base, and also forgot to mention that there is some styrex in there that gives you some sort of a balsamic effect. And overall, this might not be the most natural smelling perfume that there is, because obviously nowadays naturals in perfumes are a very rare thing, but it is blended in such a wonderful way, and this concoction makes it worth your while because it's actually a very durable and high performing scent. It projects like crazy, has very strong fixative notes at the base with heavy molecules that will stick on your skin and will keep on mutating and changing, and will give you an effect that is enlivening yet calming because of that chamomile and lavender. It's a very dreamy experience and a perfume that I would not trade for any other out there. I will mention soon a few other options that you could get instead of New York Intense, but this one to me is the number one masculine. So there's a few other perfumes that I would consider buying if you don't want New York Intense, but I highly suggest that you put your nose on it because it is a wonderful, wonderful creation by Patricia de Nicolai. The color is lovely. It's not as dark as I like my perfumes to be, but nowadays it's very rare to have dark, beautifully ambery made perfumes. Despite this, it smells amazing. It smells great, and it's worthy of every man's collection. Now there's a few other perfumes that I would actually consider. Now one would be Invasion Barbare, which is a lot more herbaceous and spicy forward, but also gives you that beautiful effect of masculinity. Then you would have, of course, a perfume like Anteus by Chanel, which is basically one of those incredible perfumes that were created in the 80s, so very animalic, very forward, and basically one of those perfumes that are not very talked about anymore because this is so typical of the perfumes that were big in the 80s and 90s. And then my favorite, along with New York Intense, it would be Pour Monsieur by the House of Chanel. Now this is a vintage juice, as you can see from the color. Nowadays the juice is basically green, so I only splurge into this for special occasions, and this smells so damn good and fine and natural that it's almost a waste whenever I put it on because it's so damn good. The new formulation, it's good, but nowhere near as good as it used to be. Nowhere near. Another great masculine, would be Habit Rouge by the House of Guerlain, which happens to be my father's signature scent. I actually have a lot of masculine Guerlains. I have them pretty much all except for Habit Rouge, because that was my father's, is actually my father's perfume, and also was my grandfather's signature scent. So I have this, basically, this notion that only they should wear it, and I'm not going to be wearing the same scent as my grandfather and father. It makes it weird. But it is, hands down, one of the greatest scents ever created for a man, along with this bad boy. So this is pretty much all I got on New York Intense. I really want you to give it a try, because to be honest, if you're the kind of gentleman that needs some sort of a really high status kind of perfume that does not cost a fortune and is wearable from day to night and all year around, then look no further, because you might as well fall in love with this just like I did. And there's honestly a reason why it's considered one of the greatest perfumes ever made. New York Intense by the House of Nicolai. I will see you again soon, guys. Take it easy, stay safe, stay at home. Ciao.